Hey, what's up everybody? This is Royce from Pedal Metal. Welcome to my channel. Tonight's video is going to be an unboxing and review of an AutoArt Millennium Porsche 917 Longtail. This is the 1971 version, as seen by the rear skirts at the back wheels there. You can kind of see that in that shot. This particular one is number 21, the Martini Racing livery, and I will go a little more in depth into the chassis number and that kind of stuff once we get involved here with this and get it up on the turntable. We'll go ahead here and I'll spin the box around. We'll look at the box first. These are kind of hard to find now. This is die-cast metal. It's really well done by AutoArt, but it does have quite a few flaws to it that most people are probably not going to really care about. But I can go into that a little bit later. We'll check out the main car itself first. These cars were, in my opinion, the pinnacle of just the absolute cutting-edge technology. And really impressive, even impressive to today's standards. These cars, they weighed 1,764 pounds, I believe. This was powered by a 4.9 liter flat 12 engine producing 600 horsepower. The top speed was like 240 miles an hour, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. And just really, this is just an amazing vehicle. And we'll take a closer look here at the die-cast version of it. Starting from the front, we have 4 CB headlamps. This I wish had a magnets on it because it already dropped it several times. Thankfully not on the floor. We have some nice details in the front. I believe this was the washer bottle. All the 917 books I have, I couldn't really find information about that bottle. We have 2 brake fluid reservoir containers here, and then obviously the two master cylinders for the braking components. We have hoses up front. There's hose detail for the 20-row oil cooler that's contained in the front here. Some pretty nice details. Wiper detail looks pretty decent on this. Working our way around the side, some brake details. It does have photo etched metal brake rotors. For whatever reason, this particular one has solid rotors in the front and drilled rotors in the back, which I'm pretty sure that's not accurate. I think he went off of the reference car. What they used for reference was the Porsche Museum car. We have photo etched metal brake rotors, which is pretty nice detail. Silver colored calipers. The actual car, believe it or not, was pretty crazy. I think they were 5-inch wide by 15-inch diameter front wheels, and then the backs 15 inches wide by 15-inch diameter wheels. Pretty large, huge tires on them. The only thing I don't think is real accurate to this particular car, you can see here it has drilled rotors. I'm pretty sure this car, when it ran in 71, had solid rotors. But like I said, I think AutoArt went off of when they photographed the car at the museum, and I believe from what I saw in some older photos from the museum, it did have drilled rotors on the back, but I'm pretty sure it's not accurate to this car from the way it would have ran in 71. But that's just nitpicking, obviously. There we can get a little bit better shot. You can kind of see the drilled rotors there. Moving to the back of the vehicle, we have some plain Jane Hella tail lamps, which are represented here. They were nothing special. I believe they were used on the 907, 908, 917, 962, 956, but they were used throughout the racing program. We will lift up the rear bonnet now. I do like this touch here, having the metal prop rod is a really nice feature. That is accurate to the real car, which is pretty nice detail. This ductwork here, the actual car I think would have been raw, like a raw aluminum or tin color. I believe this is for downforce. The air would come through the NACA duct, and then it's downdraft and pulls up underneath the transmission. I don't think it might be there to cool the transmission as well, but it's not really directed onto the transmission. It just kind of goes out and comes out onto the pavement underneath, which is odd, but I have a feeling it's to help suck the car down in the back. This particular car, chassis number 42, was an aluminum tube chassis, not magnesium. Only one of the 917 experimental cars was magnesium. This one also features a spare tire in the back, which is pretty odd. They're kind of like a donut tire. What's not accurate to this car is it's missing the jack, the fill bottle for the tire, and some tools that the driver would have had to use, and a little jack to replace the tire out on the track, which would have been an absolute disaster, I'm sure. Not fun at all in the dark trying to change a tire and put this donut tire, which I can't even see how that would work, but that was an FIA rule that you had to have a spare seat and a spare tire, much like a passenger car. I believe that rule was dropped in 75 or so. Moving on to this white bottle in the back. This was for blow-by gases, oil, residual oil that would get past the piston rings and not onto the track. It goes into the bottle, essentially. This car has two distributor coils down in here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that or not. Maybe I could tilt the car backwards here. But there's two. They're blue in there. You might be able to see them right there. There's two coil packs in the back, and then they have two coil packs stored also behind the seat in the front cockpit. And I think it was each coil pack did fired off 4 cylinders, 4 spark plugs. We have some engine detail there. Let's see. I never cared for the way AutoArt did the gold colored for the raw fiberglass on the cooling fan. I never really liked that very much. This here, just to give a brief overview of some of the components if you're new to the 917. Of course, this is the filler neck for the fuel tank, which held 10 liters of fuel. I think you needed 7 liters of fuel to get around 1 lap of Le Mans. And if you can kind of see underneath, here we have two, you can almost see, and the detail's not that great on this, but we have 2 low pressure fuel pumps right here, and then they're sent to a high pressure fuel pump, which is over on this side. Over here, this is the oil tank here. Down in here, it's not represented very well, but there's one high pressure fuel pump, and then it's shot into the motor itself. Then after it goes from the low fuel pressure into the high pressure, at the high pressure point is 255 psi, which is pretty incredible. But this motor was dry sump, and it relied heavily on cooling from the oil, which was 30 liters of oil, which is pretty amazing. And then that oil, of course, ran through the tubes of the chassis and cooled the engine. But the engine is obviously air cooled as well, but it relied heavily on the oil. Moving on to the interior. All right, looking at the cockpit, we can see another oddity from the FIA regulations. You had to have a passenger seat in the car. Obviously, it looks like it would only fit a toddler, but it's there. And we have some relays, and then back behind here you have relays, but these red wires are supposed to represent the 2 control boxes. Actually, it was 4, and you had for the left bank of the motor and then the right bank of the motor. We have a flat black felt covered dashboard, which is accurate to the actual car. They did not want any kind of glares or reflections up onto that windscreen. My biggest complaint with this particular AutoArt model is, I don't know, they could have done a better job here with some of the details in the interior. The shift knob should have been the laminated wood shift knob. I'm not sure why they just have a silver shift knob here, and I'm not exactly sure what is going on here with this. You can kind of see it there. There's a black cable that runs down through. I'm not sure what that's for. This one is seatbelt harnesses, which is correct to the car, and the red felt style covered seat. The racing harnesses could be a little bit better. In person, they don't look that great. And like I said, the shift knob there kind of bothers me, having that being in silver. Doesn't look real accurate. We have the Momo Prototipo steering wheel, which looks pretty decent. They have the screws painted silver in the middle. And then there's a ductwork. That was the biggest complaint. Looking at the notes from the archives, Vic Elford said that the first thing he said was how hot the car was. So I'm pretty sure that's why you have this tan colored ductwork. It looks like it's right out from a dryer vent. I think that's why that was added later on to help cool the drivers, because the car was that hot. All right, next we'll take a look at the underside of this. Underside is a satin black. There we can see that ductwork I was talking about earlier that exits behind the transmission. And there's a huge flat 12 cylinder, quite a bundle of snakes there in the exhaust. The fat 15-inch wide tires. Overall, I think this car's from AutoArt is really, really good, but my biggest complaint with this is the fact that they used the restored version for their reference, which is not. I would have went back, if it was me doing the car, I would have went back and used pictures from the way it ran in '71, as shown in this old Porsche museum book I have. You can see how the front of the car here is painted black, and that livery, believe it or not, was all hand painted on with brush. Isn't that crazy? They did that all by brush. It was never, none of that's done by air guns or air compressor paint guns or anything like that. It was all done by hand. The other complaint I have with this car is it should have had like the wheels there. You can see the red, white, and blue on the wheels. And it's got a couple issues with the decals that I don't really like. That it's missing the driver names back here on the side. It's missing the driver names. Like I said, this AutoArt definitely photographed the restored version from the museum, and I think that's unfortunately some of the errors are coming from that. They did run Firestone tires in '71, that's correct, but you're missing this whole black section in the front. There were some other sponsor decals are missing on the back here. It should have been another CB logo, and then it was I forget, it was some kind of a coveralls company logo back here for some sponsor of some sort. But overall, this thing's pretty amazing, pretty cool, that's for sure. All right, so if you like that type of video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you're not a subscriber already. Hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you guys later. This is it. Now here's a shot here just for size comparison from the 917K, which is the short tail, to the 917LH. Pretty good difference. It looks about 1.5 feet longer in the rear, and of course the body work was massaged out. The whole front end's all different.